This dude's 6'10 and over in the league. Who are the best? I made a list. Best tall guys. At number 5, Anthony Davis squeaks into the top 5. Listen, 5 years ago, he was supposed to be the best big man in the league. Maybe he was even as recently as 2 years ago. But the league has gotten better. The bigs in the league have gotten better, and he has remained injury prone as Joel Embiid and Jokic have taken their game to a new level. And speaking of Jokic, this is where it starts to get really tough. You could have him much higher than this, but on the defensive end, though he's made improvements, maybe he's not quite what some of the other guys are. On the offensive end, oh my God, you can argue he's the best offensive player in the game. At number 3, another guy who has that argument is Joel Embiid. And while Embiid's defense, you can look sometimes and poke some holes, but his presence on the floor changes the other team's offense, and then his offense is completely unstoppable. The most all-around skilled big, and I mean 7 feet in a wide body, maybe whoever lived in terms of pure skills. At number 2, I mean, Giannis. This dude, he's really a big dressed up as a wing. He can run the point, sort of, but really that's just him coming downhill. Look at that finals he had last year. One of the great finals of all time, and he's back-to-back MVP before that. And finally, the unicorn 7-footer. Kevin Durant, who's as tall as all these guys, but with guard skills, with like elite guard skills. What can't he do? He can get to any spot he wants. He's a willing passer, and at 7 feet tall, always has the lane. And he can score from all 3 levels as well as anyone who ever lived. Sinead? Okay, so there it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. KD, Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, AD. What'd I get wrong?
So your list is Max. I'm looking at 3 and 4, and your list is based on their game, these players, not necessarily this season. It's historically what we've come to see from them the last few or so years. And at 3 and 4, I'd actually have Jokic over Embiid just because Embiid is emerging now as healthier and more dominant now. But Jokic consistently already has been MVP, something that Joel is trying to do this year. And right now this season, he's boasting the highest player efficiency rating ever. Like, newsflash.
Yeah, pretty good.
And I want to get this correct. Like, look at this. 26 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, shooting 57% from the field and 37% from 3. So I'd bump Jokic over Embiid, and then it'll be fun when we have the neck-and-neck race. Mind you that the straw poll that came out has been the closest between those 2 big men. Other than that, I'm pretty fine with your list. My initial reaction was that my heart was broken because AD has been trying to put himself out there. He said even when he just came back from missing 17 games, all right, yeah, I'm not 100%, but I know my team needs me. And it just was a blow to Lakers fans. It was a blow to the game because we want to see what this Lakers team can do come down the stretch. Now, I do think that there is a blessing in disguise. You saw a Lakers team that started fighting, itching, and scratching. You saw a Lakers team that had their star, LeBron James, literally go into meditation because he wanted to get this win. It brought them sort of down to a humble level where, all right, we all we got. LeBron drops 33 and 8 and 6. Russ, helps deliver a little bit late. This is a squad that really needs to rely on each other, especially now that AD's gone.
It's funny because you look at this team and Westbrook didn't work out so far, hasn't worked out so far. He usually turns it on late, but it's getting late kind of early, right? AD, when he's healthy,
Russell
though,
Westbrook,
Sinead,
I think. Oh.
Yep. No,
go ahead,
when AD
Max.
is healthy, though, when AD's healthy and on the floor with LeBron, and this even goes back to when they lost against the Suns in the playoffs, they were the better team when AD was healthy, right? But it feels like they really can't rely on him.
Yeah, that's the problem and that's the conundrum. And I found it really fascinating. And one of our producers, Nick, actually brought this to my illumination. Over the last 8 years, AD has either missed a quarter of the season or been first team All-NBA. And so you're like, what AD are we getting? And as of late, ever since the championship, we've been getting injured AD. But, I think a lot of people say, oh, there's conversations out there, trade AD, or the Lakers aren't going to make the playoffs. I think this is all, and the pressure is largely on LeBron James's shoulders, because how bad does he want to be in the playoffs? And I think we all know the answer. That's where LeBron James thrives. So we'll see a Lakers team, how bad do they want to deliver, even knowing that AD is not available. This team has been 500 whether AD has played or not, LeBron James has played or not, And so, yeah, LeBron James, this team goes as he goes. If they treat the next 10 or so games seriously, they could put themselves in the playoffs. And once they're in the playoffs, and hopefully you get AD back and healthy, because they're saying that it's an ankle sprain, not what, as bad as what it looked like yesterday, they have a chance. But it's hard. There's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of, differences from the championship team 2020 to where we are 2 years after.
Chiney, it seems to me we get mad. Fans get mad at players sometimes for being injury prone. And that's because I think there's a sense that they just need to man up, or in the case of your league, woman up, right? And so, but the point is, some people, their connective tissues are not the same as others, right? Especially the Giants, almost 7 feet tall. How much of it do you think in AD's case is just purely physical and it's misdirected anger? What can he do? And how much of it is, do you think, he needs to be tougher mentally to be a franchise cornerstone going forward for the Lakers?
And thank you for bringing this aspect of sports up, because that's something that I personally, Max, suffer with. People have labeled me, quote unquote, injury prone, but people haven't seen behind the scenes that every day when I come talk to you before that, I'm working out and I'm trying to put my body in the best position to be available, because availability is the best ability for any athlete. And so, yeah, it's quick to say, oh, write AD off, but this is a guy who was instrumental in delivering a championship 2 years ago. And as you age in the league, the number one thing you have to do is figure out how your body can be successful. We're witnessing Joel Embiid figure that out. And I think right now, AD, under the microscope of Los Angeles, is going to have to figure that out himself. That means, whether it is beefing up the muscle, to me, it's always been getting lighter, because lighter puts less pressure on your joints, and staying protected. He has no better mentor and tutor in the game of taking care of your body than LeBron James, who invests at least $1 million. So the resources are there. Sometimes it's just a difficult puzzle piece as at different points in your career to string it all together. There is still hope for AD in his career. It just is a hard time, especially after All-Star break, to try to make that final push to figure it all out right now.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.